Revenge films.
My wife and I met in our early 20s, and we had a shotgun wedding. I have a 21-year-old daughter named Sarah, but she was my only child. One day, when my wife Karen wasn't home, my daughter came crying to me as she opened up about something shocking.
My boyfriend is cheating on me with Mom.
When my daughter said that to me, I couldn't wrap my head around the words for a moment, and I froze on the spot. What? Cheating? I was in disbelief as I asked her again, and my daughter pulled out her phone and showed me a certain photo. Pictured there was my wife and my daughter's boyfriend, Jonathan. There were photos of them holding hands, and even photos of them boldly kissing on the street.
My friend said that he saw it, and they sent me these photos.
How can this be? Because she gave birth to Sarah when we were still young, Karen was often mistaken for being younger than she was. That being said, to lay hands on your daughter's boyfriend was crossing the line!
It's so disgusting, and I can't forgive either of them.
My daughter said, with tears streaming down her face. And I definitely couldn't forgive the two of them for making my daughter feel this way. From there, my daughter and I discussed a lot of things, and we spoke about what was going to happen next. About 1 week after that, one day, Karen said she wanted to talk to me and called me out. And then suddenly...
I want to get a divorce.
Divorce?
It's not like I found somebody new or anything like that. It's just that I don't think that you and I were meant to be together.
Is that so? Fine. My wife probably didn't expect me to agree to the divorce so easily. So for a while, she sat there confused. But then, her expression came right back to her face.
Yeah, that's why. The separation of assets and the settlement fee that you're going to pay. I want to do it properly.
She said to me. Fine. Well then, I want you to sign this. I'd already prepared the divorce papers, and I presented them to her. Karen definitely didn't expect for me to have those in hand, so for a moment, she was shocked. But without giving her the time of day, you want to get a divorce, right? So hurry up, I said, and she picked up the pen and signed. Once she was finished, I confirmed that there were no errors in the divorce papers. Then I presented her with the invoice for the $40,000 settlement fee, the declaration that she would forfeit the separation of assets, and as the cherry on top, I garnished it with evidence of her affair. And then I saw the fear come over Karen's face.
What? What on earth is this?
My wife was starting to panic right in front of my eyes. What do you mean? This is evidence of you and Jonathan's affair. And this is the settlement fee and the forfeiting of the separation of assets to go with that. Sarah's already an adult, so we don't need to talk about custody anyway.
Why? How do you have this?
It's not just me. Sarah knows too. She was the one that told me about the two of you in the first place. And then, all of the blood drained from Karen's face. However, the divorce papers with her name and signature on it were already in my hands. Sarah said that she couldn't look at you as a mother anymore, and that you're disgusting. I'm sorry to say, but I feel the same way. My wife couldn't keep up with the reality facing her, and all she could say was,
What? What's going on?
She kept repeating. It seemed that Karen's original plan was to get a divorce from me and receive half of the assets, and on top of that, for some reason, she thought she was going to be receiving a settlement fee from me. But it wasn't just me. Even Sarah knew about the affair. And when my wife realized that not only was the separation of assets not happening, but that she was going to be sued for a $40,000 settlement fee, she panicked.
Oh, wait a minute. I changed my mind. I don't want to get a divorce.
Interesting. Well, that's unfortunate. I didn't think you would change your mind so quickly. But I've already received your signature on the papers, so that's not a discussion we can have anymore. I will be submitting this straight away. And of course, after this, I'll be receiving the settlement fees through a lawyer. From both of you, that is.
I told you we're not getting a divorce. That piece of paper is worthless.
My wife threw a tantrum and began to get aggressive. So I quickly called my in-laws. And after briefly explaining the situation to them, I had them come pick her up. Our house was only 10 minutes away by car from my in-laws' house. And they must have really rushed over because they flew into the house short of breath. What on earth is going on here? I thought it would be faster to show them the evidence, rather than explain it in words. So I handed over all of the incriminating photos that the detective agency had uncovered. This is the evidence that my wife has been cheating on me. What the hell are these photos? Aren't they terrifying? My wife was cheating on me with a man that was around the same age as her own daughter. And what's even more terrifying is the fact that that man was actually her daughter's boyfriend. What did you say? My wife laid hands on her daughter's boyfriend. Is that true?
Because he said that Sarah had a really firm guard up and wouldn't let him do anything. He's still young and has so much bottled up. Don't feel sorry for him. That's why I let him do me.
Are you kidding me? My father-in-law slapped my wife in the head. Do you have any idea what you've done?
That's right. I can't believe that you laid hands on your own daughter's boyfriend. What a distasteful thing to do.
I couldn't agree more. Actually, I only found out recently that my wife was cheating on me. And that was because my daughter came crying to me about it. And at that time, more than the fact that I was being cheated on, I was far more angry that she hurt my daughter like that. When they heard my words, my in-laws both looked extremely regretful. I later found out that my wife was the one that approached Jonathan in the first place. But once they crossed the physical line, they both enjoyed it a lot and were hooked on each other. And as they dragged on the relationship, my wife became serious about it. And as a result, in order to officially date her daughter's boyfriend, she decided to get a divorce. But of course, she didn't think that she would have to pay a settlement fee or sign a release of a separation of assets. And she was trying to object that if this was going to happen, she wouldn't get a divorce. My evil wife said,
But first of all, if that idiot daughter didn't make him have to wait for so long, none of this would have happened. I did this for her sake. She was crying and yelling.
When my father-in-law heard this selfish ridiculousness, his face turned bright red with anger. Do you have any idea how insane what you're saying is? Don't you dare try to justify your affair! Do you have no regrets at all? He hit her once again, but I had no will to stop him anymore. In the end, my in-laws promised me that they would accept all of my terms, and they told me that they wouldn't mind if I submitted the divorce papers immediately.
Why are you guys deciding this without my permission? I am definitely not getting a divorce.
Karen was still crying out as they dragged her into their car back to their house. After that, in order to collect the settlement fee from the boyfriend, I sent a notice straight to his company. Apparently, he was told by my stupid wife that everything would be fine because there was no way that my daughter or I would find out. When I sent an invoice for a settlement fee of a couple $1,000s through a lawyer, apparently, he went into a panic and was yelling unreasonable things at the lawyer. But for me, I didn't care about any of that anyway. No matter what, I had no intention of forgiving them for hurting my daughter and making her cry. Even a guy like that, my daughter must have liked. They said that she had a firm guard, but I think she's far more put together than a cheap whore who lets anybody have it like my wife. And I made sure that he paid the price for hurting my daughter like that. Now that Jonathan's company knew about the affair, the rumors instantly spread throughout the office. He quickly became the #1 enemy of all the female employees. And even the male employees were saying, I can't believe he put his hands on his girlfriend's mom! That's unbelievable! Everybody drew a line and shunned him. And because it started to damage the company's reputation, in the end, he was sent to the storage room under the guise of a department transfer. According to my daughter, once you get sent there was no chance for any promotion ever in the future. And it was basically like being locked in a tiny room until you resign from the company by yourself. He gets what he deserves. As for my ex-wife, after the divorce, in order to pay back the settlement fee to me, apparently, she was sent out to a farm that was run by a relative, and she would have to work there until she could pay back her debt. My ex-mother-in-law is also working there, so there's no way she can escape. She has to start work at 4 in the morning, and I heard that she's working in the storage room even after the sun sets. That being said, the salary isn't very high, so in order to pay back the settlement fee that her parents fronted for her, it was probably going to take her a number of years. My wife hated this kind of work, getting burnt under the sun, being in a field with many bugs, so I think it was a good punishment for her. After all of that, I was overwhelmingly worried about the trauma that my daughter went through. But 1 year later, she met a young man that would heal all of her scars, and Sarah was able to get her smile back and live a happy life. I couldn't believe that my daughter and I would be cheated on at the same time by the same people. But just seeing my daughter smile again, I felt like everything was going to be fine.
My name is Michelle. I'm getting married very soon, and I live with my fiancé Thomas, who is a regular office employee. I graduated from Washington University, and I work at an international company. I have a high salary and every day was pretty busy. My parents worked overseas and had a successful business internationally, so for many years they were going back and forth between various countries. Because of that, I had been living alone in an apartment for many years, and my fiancé moved in with me to begin our lives together. I was satisfied living with Thomas and things were going well, but there was one concern on my mind. That was the presence of my soon-to-be mother-in-law. Every time she would see me, it was a given that she would interact with me in a very cold attitude. But we were meeting to discuss the wedding.
What do you want to do about the exchange of letters from the parents of the bride and groom?
Isn't it better if we read it out loud? I agree.
Well, then let's do that!
Nobody asked for your opinion, Michelle, so can you keep your mouth shut? What? I'm having a discussion with Thomas. For someone without an education like you, and that doesn't know how the world works, you're not going to have any say when it comes to the wedding. Without an education?
Alright. Let's just leave it at this for today. We'll come again.
Next time you come, can you just come alone? I want to talk to you without any nuisances getting in the way. Nuisance? I have nothing to talk about with someone as stupid as you.
Alright. Anyway, I'll see you soon.
Hey, what do you mean, all right?
It's fine. We're leaving.
Seeing my mother-in-law, who was clearly only cold to me, made me uneasy, and I questioned Thomas in the car home. Hey, is it just me, or is your mom really cold to me and only me? And what does she mean by uneducated? Why do I have to be told that?
She just takes some time to warm up to people. So don't worry about it. It's fine.
I don't think that this is a matter of warming up to people.
I don't want to get into a fight before the wedding. So can you just tolerate it for now?
Alright, fine. I still felt uneasy about my mother-in-law, who was only rude to me. But after that, we continued preparations for the wedding, and before I knew it, it was finally the day. I was nervous from start to finish, but the ceremony went smoothly. And with many relatives from both families gathered in the venue, it came time for Thomas's mother to read her letter to Thomas. I was imagining a touching letter from a mother to a son to be read out loud, but then his mother suddenly said something outrageous and the whole venue fell silent. Please allow me to first apologize to everyone here today. I am terribly embarrassed that our son would take such an uneducated wife, but because she is the person my son chose, I decided to accept the marriage. It's truly such an embarrassment that the bride has such a low education. For a moment, I had no idea what she was saying, but by the time I realized, I was speaking back to her with the truth. You know, I graduated from Washington University. Huh? If you're going to lie, then at least tell a better lie. My mother-in-law laughed out loud and didn't even try to believe me. When I glanced over at my husband-to-be, and he had an awkward look on his face.
You don't actually work at an international company, right?
Excuse me? What do you mean? When I questioned Thomas, apparently his pride couldn't allow me to have a higher salary and a better job than him. So he admitted that he lied to his mother that I was only a high school graduate. When my parents overheard this, and they were very furious, right at that moment, the doors to the wedding venue suddenly flew open. And then a young woman who looked crazy came barging in.
Are you the one that stole my boyfriend? You're the second woman. You better not think that you could get married.
As she said that, she came stomping over to my seat, grabbed the dress, and started pulling it apart.
You're the second woman. I'm the one who's going to get married.
Thomas, who was sitting there in silence the whole time, opened his mouth in panic.
No! You're the second woman!
What?
You go home! Why did you come here?
You're awful. You told me that I was the only woman that you loved, didn't you? That was a lie?
Obviously it was a lie! If I'm going to get married, it's only obvious that I'm going to choose the one with more money!
I couldn't understand what was going on, and I was sitting there stunned when Thomas got up awkwardly and tried to force the woman out of the venue. But then the staff of the wedding venue were furious that the dress got ripped apart, and they grabbed the woman and dragged her out. Thomas was desperately trying to make excuses, but everyone there was glaring at him. Everybody had seen that interaction, but the guests on the bride's side all started to raise their voices, and the wedding venue transformed into this war zone. As a result, all of the guests on the bride's side stormed out, and the wedding was canceled on the spot. My parents had flown into the country just for this wedding, and along with the shock that all of this was for nothing, I felt my blood boil inside of me towards Thomas and his whole family. After that, I tried to get Thomas and his family to pay for the wedding expenses, but he said that I was the one that canceled the wedding, so I should be the one to pay the cancellation fees. I had enough, and since my parents were still in town, we all decided to go knock on their family door. When we got to the house and rang the doorbell, Thomas's mother answered the door. When they saw us standing there, they frowned and glared at us.
We've come here today for you to take responsibility for hurting our daughter. Huh? What are you talking about?
You were cheating on me. How shameless of you. Excuse me, just because you two had a little bit of money, who do you think you are? This rich new family can go home.
I can't marry you anymore. And you're the one that destroyed the wedding. So I'll be suing you for a settlement fee.
We were over it already when, in good timing, my father appeared on the television screen in a special feature on him on the channel. They played footage of him living very comfortably with multiple residents around the world after succeeding in starting a business overseas. And the moment they saw that, Thomas and his mother changed their attitude in an instant. Oh my, you really are amazing people. I see you differently now.
I take back what I just said, Michelle. We should still get married.
Seems like that would be much better. Do you seriously think that it would make it easier? There's no way in hell that I'm getting married to the worst human who lies to me and cheats on me.
Don't be so stubborn. We can forget about everything in the past and look towards a great future together.
After hearing Thomas's unbelievable selfish words, my mother, who had been standing there in silence the whole time, opened her mouth for the first time. We won't forgive someone who belittles our precious daughter in front of so many people like that. And on top of that, there is no way that we will give our daughter to somebody who ranks woman and dates multiple at the same time.
It's exactly as my wife says. We are not giving you our daughter. No way! We will be hiring a lawyer, and we will be collecting a settlement fee as well as the wedding expenses from you. You better be ready.
There's no way that we could pay for all of that.
There's no point speaking with you any further, so our lawyer will be contacting you for the rest.
Please, our family doesn't have that much money to spare. Please, at least pay for the wedding expenses.
You're the ones that destroyed the wedding. We're leaving now.
Wait!
I'll apologize, so forgive me, Michelle. Let's talk about this.
Shortly after, we asked the top lawyer that my father knew and sued Thomas and his family. The wedding expenses that they were refusing to pay, we also spoke to the lawyer about, and we were able to collect the full fees from them. Thomas was forced to move back in with his parents and live a poor life, but he must have missed his life with me because he contacted me multiple times and begged for me to get back together. But of course, I had no intention whatsoever of getting back with him, so I rejected him and blocked his number. Thomas and his family really didn't have much in savings, so in order to pay for the wedding and the settlement fees, they had to take out a loan. As a result of that, they struggled, and both parents and son had to work day in and day out in order to pay back the debt. Apparently, his mother wasn't able to stand, so she had to suffer because of her son and decided to kick Thomas out of the house. Because of the incident at the wedding, she became estranged from the rest of her family, and I'm sure nobody will care for her as she gets older, and that she will live the rest of her life alone. After getting kicked out of the house, Thomas moved into an old rundown apartment, and I heard that he's working multiple jobs every day and night to pay back the debt little by little, and is somehow getting by. He was still heavily in debt, and of course no one wanted to marry him after that, so I'm sure he'll be sad and single for the rest of his life. As for me, there was no more need for me to support Thomas, so I was even more financially comfortable than before. From now on, I'm going to use the money for me and as a reward to myself. I think I will treat myself every now and then. I will use the bitter memories of the wedding as a lesson, and if I'm ever to fall in love again, I hope I could see through my partner and my partner's family thoroughly before walking down the aisle.
I had a good time in high school. I was shy and mostly kept to myself, but I liked my teachers and my classmates. My 3 years at high school went by very quickly, and before I knew it, I was about to graduate. One of my classmates, Kevin, was the popular kid at school. He liked to tease me, but I didn't mind. Why are you so boring? Is it fun sitting at your desk all the time with no friends to talk to? I barely noticed that you're even here. You're like the air. You're invisible. He wasn't violent, so all I had to do was ignore him. One day at school, Kevin started talking to me. We're about to graduate. Do you want to go on a trip with me and some of my friends? A trip? Yes. Be grateful that I invited you. I'm the popular kid at school, remember? Thanks for the invite, but to be honest, I wasn't too keen on going on a trip with Ken. He told me that everyone in our class was going, so I figured that if I stayed away from him, I'd be safe, and I didn't want to be left out either. I'm sure that you don't want to be the only loser that misses out on this trip. I'd like to go. Thanks. I'll give you the details later then. A week later, Ken said to me, "Can you reserve rooms for 30 students at this hotel? Don't forget to do it." This hotel? Yes, that's what I said. Take care of it. Okay, fine. So I reserved the hotel like Ken asked me to. I arrived to the hotel on the day of the trip, hoping that I would make one more nice memory of high school. I waited in front of the hotel for some time, but none of my classmates came. Why is everyone late? Or did I get the time wrong? I checked the details of the hotel reservation, but I didn't have the wrong time. I decided to give Ken a call to see where he was at. At first, Ken didn't pick up his phone. When he finally answered, I asked him, "No one's at the hotel. Where are you guys?" I then heard some laughter in the background. It was a prank, you dummy! Fooled you! You should have known that the cool kids wouldn't want to hang out with a loser like you. It's hilarious that you actually showed up at the hotel. You're too funny! I could hear Ken and his friends laughing at me, and I felt awful. What are you guys doing? We're off to a graduation trip. I gave you the wrong location on purpose. We didn't want you to ruin our trip with that depressing aura of yours. This trip is going to be so much fun for us. Enjoy the 30 rooms that you reserved at the hotel all to yourself. Ken, you can't do that! Do you realize what kind of trouble you caused for the hotel? I'll leave you in charge of the hotel bill. Take care of it, okay? Ken then hung up the phone on me. Did Ken trick me into thinking that I was invited to the graduation trip? I was upset about what Ken had done to me because I had actually been looking forward to this trip. Tears welled up in my eyes. But then someone came up from behind me and started talking to me. Dave? When I turned around, I saw my classmate Harry standing there. He was shy like me. Harry? What are you doing here? Did Ken trick you into coming here as well? Yes, it seems so. We're such losers, huh? He told me to come here for the graduation trip. Then another classmate of ours arrived. Sorry that I'm late! It was Alan. He was a bit of a delinquent, but deep down, he wasn't a bad person. Where is everyone? I thought that I would be one of the last to arrive. Harry then got up the courage to explain to Alan about what Ken had done to us. Why would Ken do this to us? Does he even know who he's dealing with here? I'm gonna kill him! Dave, let's go apologize to the hotel about the reservation and people not showing up. I'm coming with you guys! Ken's not going to get away with this! Thanks, guys. Let me try to sort this out on my own first. I don't think you can resolve this on your own. They're gonna ask us to pay the full fee. I can't believe that Ken would do this to you knowing that! What an asshole! You're not gonna be able to pay all that money by yourself. I'm gonna go find Ken and make him take responsibility for this! You made the reservation on our behalf. Let us come with you to apologize to the hotel. I was stupid for believing Ken. Let me try to sort this out on my own. I'll let you know if I need your help. The truth was that I'd reserved a hotel owned by my parents. They were going to be upset, but if I told them the truth, they probably wouldn't get so mad at me. I told my mother about what Ken had done to me. She was furious with Ken, but not at me. She was happy that Harry and Alan tried to help me out, and said that I had some nice friends.
Why don't you three stay at one of our hotels and enjoy yourselves? I'll ask for an upgrade. Have a nice time, Dave. I'll send a car to pick you guys up.
When we arrived to the hotel, my mother greeted the three of us. She thanked Harry and Alan for taking good care of me and showed us to our rooms. Harry and Alan were surprised to see the suite that my mother had reserved for us. Are you sure that this room is for us? This looks crazy expensive! I've never stayed in such a nice hotel room before. Isn't this too much for us? We're only in high school. My parents reserved the room for us, so you don't need to worry about the costs.
I had no idea that your parents were the owners of a luxury hotel chain!
Yeah, they are. Pretty cool, huh? I feel bad for staying in such a nice room. Don't feel bad. Let's enjoy ourselves. I thought that I was going to be all alone, but I'm glad that you two are here with me. My parents appreciate your support, so they want to treat us to a night in this room. We can order any type of room service as well. There's an amusement park nearby. Do you want to go check it out later? This wasn't the trip that we expected, but let's make the most of it.
Sounds good, Dave. Thank your parents for us.
You're right. We're graduating soon. That's a reason to celebrate! The three of us had a great time together. We took a lot of photos and ate a lot of good food. The following week, we were all back at school. Kevin came over to me with an evil smile plastered on his face. How was your graduation trip, loser? We had a great time, by the way. Do you want to see all the photos that we took?
You know what? We had way more fun than you guys. You suck, by the way. Right, Dave and Harry?
Yep. We showed Ken the photos of our trip as well. He seemed shocked that our trip was way more luxurious than his. How were you able to afford a suite? Didn't you have trouble paying the cancellation fees? And the food, too. It all looks really expensive. My parents organized a special trip for the three of us. Why would your parents do such a thing? The hotel I reserved for us is one of the hotels owned by my parents. And they felt bad about what you did to us. What? Is this a joke? It's not a joke. We met Dave's parents, and they were very nice to us. Ken couldn't seem to grasp the reality. Here's the cancellation fee for the remaining 27 students. My parents would like you to pay them ASAP. Why would I do that? You're the one that made the reservation. Besides, I don't have that kind of money. You knew that there would be a cancellation fee, but you went ahead and bailed on me anyway. The reservation may have been in my name, but the three of us showed up and stayed at the hotel. You and your friends were the one that canceled last minute. I don't have this much money. Clearly your family is rich, so you take care of it.
Ken, do you hear yourself? You did this to us! This is all your fault!
This isn't a game, Ken. You made a mistake, and you need to pay for it. Literally and figuratively. If you're not going to pay, my parents are going to get in touch with your parents. And the school, too. Hold on a second, Dave! You can't do that! Do you realize how much trouble I'll be in, right? You did this and tried to frame me for it. You need to pay the cancellation fees. It's against hotel policies if you don't. You caused my parents to lose out on other business by reserving the hotel and not showing up. If you can't deal with this on your own, my parents will speak to your parents. It's inevitable. Ken became very pale after hearing all this. This is not at all what he had expected. It turned out that Ken and a small group of friends were the only ones aware of the prank that they played on us. In the end, my parents contacted Ken's parents to sort this all out. Ken's parents were furious with their son, and his father beat him up badly. His parents told Ken that he had to get a job and earn all the money that he owed to my parents. For the time being, Ken's parents covered the cancellation fees. Ken's parents weren't very rich, so they used the money they had saved up for Ken's university tuition to pay the fees. Ken had planned to go to university, but now his parents couldn't afford to send him. It's been 5 years since I graduated from high school, and I'm still good friends with Harry and Alan. Alan's already married and has a child too. I can't believe how much we've all grown up. Harry joined my parents' company and is working really hard. I heard that Ken was working multiple jobs at convenience stores and supermarkets, and that his parents kicked him out of the house after what he'd done to us.
I met my boyfriend Kevin when we were introduced by a mutual friend. As soon as we met, we hit it off, and we started dating almost immediately. He was living alone, so I often stayed over at his place. But then, one day...
You know, we spend most nights together. Do you want to live here?
Kevin was the first to suggest it, and I moved in and we started living together. However, I was still a college student at the time, and I knew that I couldn't put the priority of school at risk, so I made sure that I was taking my birth control pill every single day without fail. But then, one day... It's been over 1 month since my last period, but it still isn't here. Could this be? No, surely there's no way. I've been taking my pill every single day. My period didn't come, so I was worried, and I went to the pharmacy to buy a pregnancy test. I was terrified as I took it and checked the results, and was shocked to see that it was positive. But why? Even though I've been taking the birth control every day? I couldn't wrap my head around the reality facing me. That's because as long as I was still a college student, I couldn't have a child. That's what I thought. However, that being said, I also couldn't bring myself to just quickly get an abortion either. I felt like I was going to crumble from how terrible I felt, but I decided to go back to my parents' house to tell them about my situation. Of course, my parents lectured me for a while, but even still, the baby inside me did nothing wrong. Your dad and I will support you, so you need to go tell your boyfriend. When my mom said that, I knew they were on my side, and I was so relieved that I started crying. After that, I went back home and I told my boyfriend about the pregnancy. He did seem very shocked at first, but he was quick to put a smile back on his face and said,
I promise I'll protect you and the baby, so you don't need to hurry. We're doing this together.
And he got down on one knee and proposed. Even though we had spoken about getting married already, the order in which things were supposed to happen got reversed, and I was worried whether he was actually going to marry me or not. However, he betrayed that worry in a good way, and I had nothing but gratitude for him at the time. However, reality wasn't as simple as that. We were actually going to get married and have the baby, and that wasn't a problem that would only concern Kevin and I. I had already told my parents that I was pregnant and that we would be getting married, so we decided to inform his family. I hope they're as excited about this as we are. I foolishly hoped as I arrived at their house, but as soon as I was in front of his mother, that hope came crashing down. Her very first words to me were, "So, I heard you're pregnant right now. I bet you set this up because you wanted to marry our son, didn't you?" No, not at all. I was really careful. I was taking my birth control pill every single day, so that something like this wouldn't happen. Interesting. If you say that you're taking the pill, then my son would feel safe too, wouldn't he? I'm guessing that you took advantage of that and got yourself pregnant. That's not true at all. Even after that, she continued to complain from start to finish. I was suddenly about to become a mother to a baby, and even though I had the support of my parents and my boyfriend, my mental state at that time was very unstable. Because of that, I was extremely shocked by Kevin's mother's straightforward rudeness, and that day, I left his house like I was running away. Even with his mother saying such terrible things to me, Kevin stood there and said nothing, and I wanted to have a word with him as well. In front of his mother, I wanted him to show her his intention of marrying me and starting a family together. But instead, he just stood there in silence, watching his mother and I go back and forth. Seeing this unreliable side of him, I started to get really uneasy about the marriage and giving birth. But then, a few days after that, Kevin's mom suddenly showed up at our house. And then, I was forced to hear her outrageous words. "So, what's the gender of your baby?" "What? The gender? We were thinking about keeping that as a surprise for after he or she is born, so we've asked the doctors to not tell either of us." "Oh dear. It's a very important thing, so you need to ask them." "What? Is it better that we ask?" Because his mom said that, I assumed that maybe she wanted to know the gender because otherwise it might be hard to buy clothes for the new baby. If that were the case, that would have meant that she was excited about the baby, and it made me happy. And if that was the reason, then I thought it might be fine to find out the gender. But then, terrifying words came out of her next. "Of course it is. Because of our lineage. It's imperative that it's a boy. If it's a girl, then there's no need for it, and you'll have to hurry up and get an abortion. Otherwise, if it gets too big, then you won't be able to abort it." What are you saying? That you won't need it if it's a girl? There's no way that's a thing! I was devastated by what a selfish thing that was for her to say. Even still, Kevin just stood next to me saying nothing. "Hey, can't you say something? You're being told that your child is not needed. You don't think anything of that?"
Mom is saying it to you. So even if I get involved...
All that came out of his mouth was this pathetic excuse. When we were living together, he was so kind, but it became clear to me that the real Kevin was an unreliable man who couldn't say a word back to his own mother. Anyway, I'm going to give birth to the baby. And it doesn't matter whether it's a boy or a girl, I said, but certainly I won't forgive you for that. If a girl is born, it's an embarrassment, so you better abort it no matter what. We don't need that. After threatening me like this, Kevin's mother stormed out the door. My husband wasn't defending me one bit, and I could feel my love for him declining at a rapid speed. I was mixed with a feeling that getting married to him at this rate wouldn't be good, and also feeling disillusioned, and I was starting to feel more and more hopeless. Then one day, I was heading towards the bus stop to go for a checkup at the hospital that day, and while I was waiting across the street, I suddenly felt somebody shove me from behind, and my body was flung out into the middle of the road. Ah! Even though a car was coming from right in front of me, I was so overcome with fear and panic that my body wouldn't move one bit. However, a few people that I was waiting at the stoplight with immediately got involved, and thankfully, there were no injuries. However, at that moment, I saw it clearly. Kevin's mother glaring at me with a terrifying look on her face. Well, why is Kevin's mom here right now? Wait a minute. Was she the one that just pushed me from behind? When I saw that face, I strongly felt like I couldn't trust anybody in that family. Not only me, but the baby in my stomach was also about to be killed. Of course, I reported the incident to Kevin, but...
Are you sure you weren't just seeing things?
Was his response, and he refused to fully accept what happened. Even though my life was almost on the line, he tried to diminish it to me just seeing things. And at that moment, all of my trust and love towards him disappeared. And that's why I decided to break up with him and give birth to the baby alone. He tried his best to stop me, but that didn't move me one bit, and in the end we broke up. But after that, an unbelievable truth came to light. And that was the truth behind how I got pregnant, even though I was taking my pill. My ex, Kevin, was a pharmacist, and he believed in medication more than anybody. But using that knowledge, he had swapped out my birth control pill for something else. At the time, I was taking a number of supplements for my health, and I kept my birth control in the same case. Not only was he doing that, but his reasoning behind it was pretty evil. It wasn't like he wanted a baby with me or any reason like that, but instead it was because him and his buddies were getting riled up saying things like,
You're not a man until you can get your girlfriend pregnant.
When our mutual friend told me about this, I was truly so shocked. Of course, I despised him for what he did, but I also despised myself from the bottom of my heart for my inability to choose men. The suffering of a woman's body as they are going through pregnancy isn't anything so easy. With this truth in my hands, I decided to sue my ex-fiancé for a settlement fee. Both Kevin and his mother were livid at this, and they showed up at my family house and came storming and yelling, but we immediately called the police and had them taken away. After that, I left everything to the lawyers, and I was quickly able to receive a settlement fee. A few months later, I gave birth to the most beautiful baby girl. I had moved back in with my parents, and the settlement fee I was able to get from my ex and the support of my parents, every day I'm overwhelmed with happiness. Very gratefully, I also met somebody wonderful not long after that, and he was a genuinely kind person who loved both me and my baby. This time, I was able to properly get married. As for Kevin, with this incident, he and his mother had to be taken care of by the police a number of times, and rumors spread about them around their hometown, how they said to me, "We don't need a girl, so abort it!" Everybody found out about those words, and he was shunned by all of the women who refused to go anywhere near him. But of course, that's only obvious. A baby is a blessing from above, and you don't get to decide what the gender of it will be. But to be told with a 50-50 chance to abort it, no woman would ever want to marry into a family like that. Perhaps his mother was served some karma, but apparently her leg became bad due to illness. She would have to be under nursing care for the rest of her life, which has only made it harder for Kevin to find a woman to marry him. I can only imagine that because of his mother. The probability of my ex being able to get married is pretty close to none. This is what they call cause and effect, isn't it?
In order to propose to my soon-to-be fiancée, Ashley, I went to buy a popular engagement ring. I took her to a beautiful restaurant and proposed, and Ashley happily accepted the ring and said yes. The two of us were on cloud 9 after that, as we went around to look at wedding venues and try on dresses and tuxedos. Every single day was full of happiness as we got ready for the big day. I was originally working full-time for a company, but ever since I was a college student, I was investing in stocks, and perhaps I had a talent for it, because I was able to increase my profits steadily. Eventually, I was able to build an income that was way more than my full-time job. So I retired from working for a company. While continuing in stocks and other investments, before I met Ashley, I was traveling overseas for a while and thinking about doing a trip around the world. But that was when I met Ashley, and we both fell for each other quickly and started dating. Ashley was very pretty, and when we first started dating, a lot of people told me that they were jealous of me. All of the preparations for the wedding were also going smoothly, and every day was great. When one day, one of my friends from college called me.
Hey, long time no see. How have you been?
I've been great. What about you?
Well, yeah, but more importantly, you're getting married soon, aren't you?
Yeah, I am. I was actually just thinking about how I need to hand you your invitation.
Actually, about that, there's something I need to talk to you about.
What?
Your fiancée. Her name is Ashley, right?
Yeah, that's right. But had you met her before?
Oh, someone showed me a photo once. I think it was Thomas.
I remember he asked me for a photo once, so I sent one to him. But what about that?
Well, you see...
What's the matter? Just spit it out. It's written all over your face that you want to tell me something. You and I are friends, aren't we? So don't hesitate and just say it.
You seem really happy, so I really didn't want to tell you this. And I've been thinking about it for a while now, but I knew that I had to tell you before you get married.
Sure.
It's about your fiancée, Ashley. But she actually lives in my neighborhood.
Oh yeah, you guys do live in the same area.
Yeah, and from my apartment window, I can see down to the streets. But I often see Ashley walking around with other guys.
What? No. No way. There's no way that Ashley would do something like that?
I'm telling you the truth. I really didn't want to do this, but here, look at this.
My friend pulled out his phone, and he showed me a few photos. He was taking them from the second floor window, so the photo quality wasn't that great. But there was no doubt that it was Ashley. What shocked me even more was that it wasn't just one other guy. This guy, and the guy in the next photo, they're not the same, are they?
Yeah. At first I thought it might be her brother, but then it really didn't seem that way.
He was right. It didn't seem that way at all. They were holding hands, and no matter how you looked at it, it was a romantic relationship. But also, Ashley didn't have siblings anyway, and I've never heard of any relatives that she's close to either.
But also, recently you've been uploading on your social media that you've been traveling around, right?
Oh yeah, I was actually thinking about a new business. So I've been going all over the place from Alaska all the way down to Texas.
So every time that I'd see Ashley walking around with another guy would always be when you're not here in the city. It almost felt like she was confirming on your social media that you weren't here before cheating.
No way. But now that you mention it, she always asked me where I am when I'm coming back. I thought it was just because she missed me and she wanted me to come back soon. But I guess that wasn't the case. I really wanted to believe in Ashley, and my thoughts were stirring. But my friend sitting in front of me was always an honest friend from college, and he's never lied before in my years of knowing him. And more than anything, the photos of Ashley with multiple men told the entire story.
I'm not going to say anything further, but I do think that you should maybe do some research into Ashley once more before you get married.
You're right.
I'm really sorry. I didn't want to destroy your happiness, but I also didn't want you to have an unhappy marriage, and today, I decided to tell you this, knowing that it may end our friendship.
You idiot! There's no way that our friendship is going anywhere. I'm still in shock, and I can't really catch up yet. But just like you said, I'm going to do some research.
Yeah. If you need anything at all, You can always call me.
After that, I went to a detective agency, and I asked them to look into Ashley. And just as my friend had said, she was completely guilty. In the investigation, they had photos of her going in and out of hotels, and in the end, we discovered that she was cheating on me with 5 other men. That means that she was 6-timing, including me. What a woman! I felt the anger suddenly start boiling inside of me, and I decided that I would get my revenge on Ashley. From there, I desperately held back the boiling feeling inside of me. And even after that, I acted normally with Ashley. Ashley didn't show any signs of cheating in front of me. If my friend hadn't told me, I probably wouldn't have noticed anything at this point. Still, in that case, I would have gotten married without knowing any of this. When I thought about that, it was terrifying. And with this, I gathered that Ashley was probably just after me for my money. The day of the wedding arrived, and Ashley said to me,
We're going to be so happy. You and I are going to be together forever.
she said, as she jumped into my arms, but I didn't feel anything. If anything, all I could think about was the revenge that was about to happen in just a few moments. I notified the venue staff about a slight change to the program, and the wedding reception started. Ashley was congratulated by many people, and with tears streaming down her face, she went around the room saying thank you. Seeing this was nothing but shameless at this point. As the wedding reception continued, the venue staff set up the thing that I had prepared. It was finally time for my revenge.
There is now going to be a surprise from the groom to the bride.
When Ashley heard the announcement,
I'm so happy. I wonder what the surprise is.
however, a few seconds later, photos were displayed for the entire venue to see, and Ashley's eyes froze. Across the big screen were multiple photos of Ashley in the midst of her affairs. In an instant, the entire venue started to buzz.
Hey! What on earth are you trying to do?
When I told Ashley that my friend told me that she was cheating on me, she went into a panic, and she wasn't able to form any words. Just her mouth was moving, and she was pointing at the photos on the screen. Then I borrowed a mic from the staff and made my speech. As you can see, what you're looking at right now is evidence that the bride has been cheating on me. As I said that, Ashley began throwing a tantrum next to me.
That's not true! I would never cheat on you! Erase this! Erase this all now!
At her family table, Ashley's mother collapsed from the shock, and her father was yelling, "You need to stop those photos immediately!" The venue was buzzing.
Does that mean Ashley the bride was cheating?
Not only that, but those are all different guys in the photos! I overheard those voices, and into the mic, I replied, "That's right! Actually, I only recently heard about this as well, and it turns out that the bride was cheating on me with not just 1, but 5 other men."
5 people?
5 people?! That's insane! Even though she was about to get married! That's the situation, so please, disregard this marriage, because it never happened. Of course, we'll be returning all of the gift money, and as an apology for the inconvenience, I'll be paying for all of your transportation fees as well. I'm terribly sorry for having you all participate in such a ridiculous farce. As I said that, and tried to leave the wedding venue, Ashley came running after me.
I'm so sorry! I don't know what came over me, but I was planning on ending them all when I got married!
Ashley came crying to me, but I looked down at her with cold eyes. You really are a piece of crap. I did a full investigation through a detective agency, and I went to speak with all 5 of those guys, of course. And you know what one of them said? That you said to him that you'd be getting married to a guy with money soon, and that after that, you'll be able to spend as much money as you want. You were planning on going on a vacation with that guy too, weren't you? When I said that, she turned completely pale and was at a loss for words. For everybody that came to this wedding, I dragged them into my revenge. So of course I'll be returning them their money. I'll pay them for the inconvenience and their transportation fees. I'll pay whatever, but not you. Because you fooled me, and while cheating on me with 5 other guys, you tried to marry me for my money. And of course, you'll be paying for that.
No way! I'm I'm so sorry. I'm going to apologize. I'll do anything for you for the rest of my life, so please forgive me. I love you.
After sleeping around with multiple men? Don't disgust me. The only thing that you can do for me is to pay every penny of the settlement fee that I'm going to sue you for. Those were my last words, and I left. After that, just as I declared, I sued Ashley for destroying the engagement. Because we were engaged, of course, I also sued the other 5 guys, and served them justice as well. Among them, apparently some were married, and Ashley's being sued by their wives as well. I also heard that she was disowned by her parents after this. So I can only imagine she'll be spending the rest of her life trying to pay back whatever loan she has to take out now. Well, she did it all to herself. So I certainly have no pity for that.
My name is Kelly. I'm a graduate school student who loves to study. I've been living with my boyfriend Thomas for over 1 year now. He hops from job to job and lives his life by the day. And he's the complete opposite of me, who loves to study and work very hard. I love to cook and he loves to eat, so I thought we were a good match. But he eats so much that as soon as he lays his eyes on something in the house, he had a habit of eating it all immediately. Little by little, I started to feel uneasy about him. About 1 year after we started living together, he started saying that there wasn't enough food and he no longer complimented my cooking like he used to in the beginning.
What? This is all that's for dinner today?
What do you mean? I made all of this, and it's plenty, isn't it?
It's not enough, so you need to make more.
Even if you say that, I haven't had enough for food expenses lately.
Why not? I've been giving you money every month, haven't I?
You eat so much that it's not enough at all.
But that's your job to figure it out somehow. If you can't satisfy my stomach properly, then you should get a part-time job and earn enough.
Don't be ridiculous, even though I'm also paying the living expenses. I was studying bacteria and fungi in university, and I was busy every day with my studies. Compared to that, Thomas quit his job as soon as we started dating, and all he does is work a part-time job 5 hours a day, and seemed bored every day. Despite that, he insisted that a meal should be served by a woman, and doesn't try to help out at all. And day by day, I was getting even more frustrated with him. Then one day, my parents sent me some really expensive steak. Wow, this looks delicious! I need to call my mom. I picked up the phone to thank my mom for such an amazing delivery. Hello? Mom? Thank you so much for the steak. Did you get it? We ordered a few of them and they were really delicious, so I wanted you to have some too, Kelly. I'm so happy. I'll let you know how it is once I cook it. Just in case, I told Thomas that I wanted to eat the steaks together, so I told him to wait without eating it as I left the house for school. When I got home that night, I was really excited for dinner, and I went straight to the refrigerator. But then, those steaks that should have been in the fridge were missing. What? Where is it? Hey! What happened to the steaks that were in here?
Oh, I got hungry, so I ate them.
What do you mean you ate them? All of them? What about my portion? There was almost 7 pounds of steak!
I ate it all, so there's none left.
Can't believe this, even though my mom sent it for me to eat.
What's the big deal that I ate it?
But I was really excited about it.
Why are you being so selfish about food? It's pathetic.
Cut it out already. You're the one that's selfish. You eat too much.
I have the right to eat anything that's in this house, and that's none of your business!
Out of nowhere, he snapped, and he was like a different person as he stood up and shoved me. When I fell to the ground, I hit my head on the coffee table. I lost consciousness and I was taken to the hospital. When I opened my eyes, I was laying in a hospital bed, and next to me, I could hear the voices of Thomas and the doctor speaking.
She just fell over and hit her head. She was always a little bit clumsy, and, well, when I think about what would have happened if I wasn't there, I get chills.
You did the right thing by calling the ambulance immediately. Even if it was just a concussion, it would have been dangerous if she was just left there.
I'll tell her to be more careful next time.
I couldn't believe it. He was lying to the doctor that I just fell on my own. After that, I started to feel more uncomfortable and less trusting of him. Until something happened that would be the final straw. One day, from my research in university, I had to take home a poisonous mushroom. I put the mushrooms on top of the table, and I started preparing for my research when I heard a suspicious ruffling sound from under the kitchen counter. I was terrified as I went to look underneath the cabinets, and there I saw a black shadow. Cockroaches! Ah! At that time, Thomas was at his part-time job and wasn't home, so I had no choice but to take care of the cockroaches by myself. However, I didn't have the courage to hit the cockroaches, so I had the idea to make cockroach-killing boric acid dumplings. I still had some leftover boric acid from the last time we had cockroaches, so I mixed that together with flour and sugar that cockroaches love, and I rolled them up into little dumpling-shaped balls. I'm pretty sure cockroaches also love onions. Alright, I'm gonna go buy some. I wanted to make sure that I got all of the cockroaches, so I decided to go get onions at the nearest supermarket. Just in case, I knew it would be bad if he came home during that time, so I left a note for both the poisonous mushrooms and the boric acid dumplings, that they were dangerous and not to eat them before leaving the house. When I got home, I saw his shoes in the front door, so I was glad that I had left the warning note for him. However, when I got into the living room, a shocking sight was waiting for me. The poisonous mushrooms and boric acid dumplings that were on top of the table were all gone, and he was rolling around on the floor, laughing while holding his stomach. "Don't tell me that you ate the mushrooms and balls that were on the table!" With tears in his eyes, he was laughing hysterically as he sprinted towards the toilet. As he kept repeating that, he was laughing so hard that he started to hyperventilate, so I panicked and called an ambulance. According to the doctor, he was high due to consuming those poisonous mushrooms, and because of consuming the boric acid, he was also having issues with his digestive system. As I was explaining the situation to the doctor, both of his parents came running into the hospital room. "Are you the one who made Thomas eat something so dangerous?"
Why are you laughing this much? Hey, are you okay?
"Sir, ma'am, please calm down." Both of his parents were furious at me, so I tried to explain the situation in detail to them. While I was at it, I told him about his actions until now and how I was struggling to make ends meet. "I didn't know. Actually, he has always been a monster when it comes to food ever since he was little. It troubled us a lot too."
When I think about his personality, I'm sure that this incident was all his own doing.
As I was speaking with his parents, the poisonous mushrooms were finally wearing off, and he was back to his normal self. But then, the most outrageous words came out of his mouth.
You murderer!
He ignored the warning note and ate everything that was on top of the table. And after causing so much trouble to everybody, he was now calling me a murderer. Seeing this behavior, I was fully over it. And at that moment, I decided to break up with him. Without paying any mind to that, he kept messaging me while he was in the hospital to bring him home-cooked meals. But I ignored them and just gathered his belongings to get ready to kick him out of the house. His parents both apologized to me, but when they realized that I wasn't going to change my mind, they decided that they would take responsibility for his belongings and take them. And they were cooperative. Thomas spent about 1 week in the hospital, and even though he was suffering due to the problems in his digestive system from the boric acid, apparently he was throwing tantrums at the hospital that he wasn't getting enough food. And then, 1 week later, when he was discharged from the hospital and came back without knowing anything, it was already after I'd gotten rid of all his personal belongings in the house.
What? What's going on here?
"I can't live with you anymore, so please, get out. Your parents have taken all of your belongings, so why don't you go back to their house?"
But why? What are you saying that I ever did to deserve this?
No matter how you think of it, you've been way too selfish about eating around here. On top of that, you're the one that knocked me unconscious. But you were lying at the hospital, weren't you? There's no way I could live with somebody like that.
I'll apologize for pushing you, but when have I ever been selfish with food? I don't have any recollection of this.
He insisted he had no idea what I was talking about, and he refused to leave the house. and after being exhausted of speaking with him, I called his parents. They came straight away to pick him up, and as if he was being arrested, he was dragged back to their house. After that, his parents were furious with him, and they made him promise to transfer the medical expenses from when he pushed me. That was the end of it, and I was able to end any relationship with him completely. I was able to fully focus on my studies, and I was able to work even harder in my research. As a result, I published a book on mushrooms, and I became a famous professor. The book I wrote on what happens when you eat poisonous mushrooms became a bestseller, and I was able to become a celebrity. Living with Thomas was very stressful, but I'm very grateful that it became a stepping stone towards this comfortable future. As for him, his eating habits didn't change even when he moved back home, and without listening to his parents, he would eat everything that he could get his hands on around the house. Because of that, he got food poisoning many times, and eventually, he was even kicked out by his own parents. I heard that he's now living a poor life without even finding a proper job.
How was today's video? If you enjoyed it, please subscribe, like, and leave a comment. Stay tuned for more.